Okay, we have here an interesting side table by Ikea. It's called Malmsta. And the table has, as you can see, a round table top with glass. And all the edges are chamfered. And the legs are, well, there's piece supported going in between all the legs. And at the bottom we have here a brace to support this smaller shelf. So the sizes are 24 3/4 height by 21 1/4 in diameter. So I guess we can start with drawing a leg first. I don't know what the leg size is, but I'm going to guess maybe a little bit less than 2 inches, maybe 1.5 or 1.5 inches at the top. So the first thing I need to know is how big do I do this? Since the top is 21 1/4, I can make a cylinder here that measures the radius, about half of that. And this is just to help me place the legs and to get the proportion right. Now let me move this down a little bit here and look at this here. This piece here is about, as thick as the leg maybe. So just to get started and get the idea, maybe I'm going to make just a duplicate of this. So I'll use this smaller cylinder to guess the size of the piece that was going to go over the legs. So looking at this again, I'm trying to estimate the best I can. So let me move this out of the way for 1 second, and I'm going to place the legs on the side now, somewhere around this area. And it's cut in both sides to receive that piece in the middle. So obviously the best thing is to start up right there, as if you were, the best way to build these things is to work as if you were building it in real life. So what were the first things you were going to do? So we'll take this piece and we're going to cut the top, and then we'll make 4 legs just like it. So convert this to an editable poly, and then these 2 lines we're going to connect with 2 about the, open this just a little bit. So now we can take these 2 sides and extrude them. I have no idea yet, but maybe about that size. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, and you move this down a little bit. So I'll place this in the right spot. That looks about right. So now we can, let's look at the leg this way. And so now we need to finish the leg before we continue with this. So I'm going to make I think the legs are tapered at the bottom. If you look at the drawing, the photograph here, you'll see the bottom of the legs are a little bit smaller than the top. So we'll shrink the bottom a little bit more, and I think we can also move this to the left side or to the outside. If you align this to the outside, then you have a straight leg on the outside here, which is much easier to build with, and then the inside is a little bit tapered. Just raise this up a little so we can have feet underneath later. Okay, so I think we need to do the space for the braces at the bottom. So we can cut 2 lines here, connect 2, and I'm going to size it very close to what I see on the photograph. It's about 1/4 from the bottom, so maybe just a little bit less than this. All right, now we can take these two lines down here on the leg, and we can divide it in two again, so we can have so we can extrude the brace from there. So for now, we'll finish the leg at this point, and we're going to make the other 4 legs now. Let's move to the side here, and I'm gonna make a mirror image, so the other leg is going to stand across from the other one, exactly like that one. And now we can center this. First, maybe we can put them together by attaching one leg to the other. Then we can move the pivot of the center to the center of both of them. And now we can center this again on the x-axis. This way we can make a duplicate using the snaps on 90 degrees. Press shift and turn it around, and we get that one. So just make copies. So now we can build it just like a carpenter would do. The next thing we'd do is to place the braces at the bottom. So by taking these two pieces here, we can bridge them, create the brace. And logically, the next step is to divide this brace in the center. Find the center and mark with 2 lines, the same as the brace on the other side. So on this view, you can see we can size this a little better. So once that's done, we can now, I think what we should do is we can attach these legs together so we can connect them using bridge. So like I said, it's easier to build furniture if you think the way a carpenter will build it. So next thing we do is now we can place that part, the top part here, the support, which is basically a tube like, So we'll use that. And we can just guess again. We're going to center it. And since we already have the cuts on the legs, we'll try to match that. Here we can try to be very precise, so that we won't show gaps in here. This is a lot easier than if we were trying to conform or do it exactly like the, curve cut. But if we get very close, it will be okay, because either at the distance or when you photograph or when you render the image, you will not see these gaps. So I'll try to make it as close as possible. So that looks just about right. So the next thing we got to do is the top piece. I think we can use this as a template, because the top piece is looks like it has a glass in it, so this is not going to work for the top. So maybe I'll just bring this down to the lower place to make a smaller shelf. The thickness is pretty much the same as on the top, so that will be fine for now. Now to make the top, I think we have to use a tube again. And again, starting from the center, we'll guess that if you look at the image, this piece has to go past the legs and the support underneath. This one has to be about 3/4 of an inch thick also. And it has to have a step inside. So first let's size this up a little bit. Somewhere like that. I think the image shows very similar, maybe a little wider here. But that's the idea. So we can now cut the inside so we can get a step, a small ridge for the glass. So once it's converted to poly, editable poly, we select this as ring and add a line to move it up. We'll fix this line or the height of this line in a minute, because we need to put the glass first. So let's make a local normal extrusion here, just enough to receive the glass. Okay, now we need the glass, which is another cylinder. All right, so we can make a cylinder for the glass. The glass is probably 1/4 of an inch thick. Move this up. Since we're trying to make the table that we see in Ikea's on Ikea's website, then we have to try to make this as close as possible. And in real life, for example, the glass is going to fit here, but it's not going to touch the wood. It's going to be a little bit loose because you have to have a little bit of space, because nothing is that perfect in real life. So now the glass goes there, but they have to fix the depth of the piece here of the support. So I don't know if you can see it, but we have to find the 2 lines here. And we can bring them down a little bit. And that should be basically it. Now we just need to finish a few things, such as the tapered edges or chamfered edges. So if you select the edge here with loop and the bottom as well, you can add chamfer. I would say maybe 3/64, just a little bit. And we'll do the same thing for the legs. Okay, so that's basically the modeling of the table. You know, you can add little feet and screws, but here I have a simple backdrop a white piece of paper, let's say, and then 3 lights. You can see the parameters of the lights here. If you want to duplicate this type of image, it's just basically lighting so I can make a render. Now, if I wanted to copy the render, if I wanted to imitate the way the photograph shows on the Ikea, then I would have to use Photoshop later to get rid of the background and just make it all white like they do. But otherwise, if it was in a room, it would look sort of this way. So here are all the parameters for the light and the camera. You can use this as a zoom tool, which is the focal length. And this way you can make the image look a little more like the photograph they have. Change the shutter type to 100 seconds. The exposure, make it manual ISO 200. And there you have it. So now all you have to do is add a few, some materials. So this is a simple backdrop, almost white. And then we have for the furniture, I'm using V-Ray renderer and V-Ray materials. For the legs and the body of the table itself, I think it's best to bring the image from Ikea and copy the color from here so you don't have to guess too much. Use the dropper and select an area of a medium, between the light and the dark, and then that should do it. And you should give a little bit of reflection, because this is not highly polished material, but it has some reflection. So these are the parameters I'm using, and we'll apply that to the rest of the table. And also, if you have already some pre-made materials that you have saved on your library, I have here glass, clear glass. These are the parameters of clear glass. You can make your diffuse black and the reflection as much as you want, and the refraction has to be all white. Use exit color if you want a little bit of blue-green, and click on affect shadows. The rest you can just leave as it is. And you can apply that to the glass piece over here. There's glass. And then you can apply that. So here we have it. This is the Malmsta side table from Ikea. And I hope you like this tutorial. Just give me a like, or you can subscribe for more upcoming tutorials. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.